If someone has ever looked at you and said, "You are exactly like your mother," or "You are your father's clone," they might be right. It's messier than that. It's stranger than that. And honestly, it's way more interesting.
After dark, conversations get deeper.
Deep Talk English Podcast. Sex education.
We're all taught that we are this perfect, 50-50 genetic split of our mom and dad.
Right, the classic biology class stuff.
Exactly. But we're doing a deep dive into a stack of research on genetic inheritance today. And, well, you've basically been lied to.
Yeah, the truth is way messier.
It is. Because it turns out your father's DNA might actually be staging a sort of hostile takeover in your cells right now. Think of your DNA as this massive library. Both parents donate the exact same number of books, but life itself decides which ones actually get opened.
And your body definitely has a reading preference. I mean, we tend to assume inheritance is just a simple symmetrical blending, but the sources point out a really massive twist.
The percentages, right?
Yeah, you actually express about 60% of your dad's genes and only 40% of your mom's.
Which is wild.
It is. The paternal genes are just incredibly aggressive to the point where a pregnant woman's body actually has to actively suppress its own immune system just to tolerate these foreign genetic instructions.
Wait, hold on. Slow down. If I physically receive 50% of my chromosomes from each parent, how does my body even know which gene came from the dad? How does it know to make it louder?
Right. So that happens through a mechanism called epigenetic imprinting.
Okay.
Before the genes are ever passed to you, they basically get stamped with chemical tags. And these tags effectively mute certain maternal genes and, amplify the paternal ones.
So it really is a hostile takeover by the dad's biology.
Pretty much. Evolutionarily speaking, dad's genes want to extract maximum resources from the mother. They want to build a large, robust baby. But mom's genes are trying to regulate that rapid growth.
Just to ensure her own survival.
Exactly. It's a tug of war. But while dad's genes dominate the growth department, the mother holds ultimate veto power in, the cellular engine room.
Oh, right, the mitochondria.
Yep. The nucleus might be this battleground of parental influence, but you inherit 100% of your cellular mitochondria exclusively from your mom.
And the reason for that is kind of brutal, if I remember the articles right.
It's very brutal. When the sperm fertilizes the egg, the father's mitochondria are intentionally targeted and destroyed by the egg.
Wow.
Yeah, it's strictly maternal territory.
So, okay, if dad's genes are effectively hijacking those growth controls to build a bigger baby, it makes complete sense that this dominance bleeds into physical structures, right?
Oh, absolutely.
The research shows fathers heavily influence height and jaw structure, which actually explains the crooked teeth phenomenon so many of us deal with.
The dreaded dental invoice?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you inherit your dad's massive teeth but your mom's narrow jaw, you essentially get a lifelong dental invoice from your dad's side of the family.
It really is the literal physical clash of two totally different blueprints. But, we have to remember that physical inheritance isn't a straight line.
Right.
Traits like eye color or facial structure, they're polygenic. So it's dozens of imprinted genes from both sides interacting in incredibly chaotic ways, rather than just flipping a simple dominant or recessive switch.
Well, and if bone structure is that chaotic, the brain has to be infinitely more complex.
Oh, yeah.
And the sources we're looking at actually have a pretty massive conflict about this. Several of the articles claim intelligence comes almost exclusively from the mother.
Because of the X chromosome, right?
Yeah, because the genes driving cognitive function are densely packed onto the X chromosome. But then another researcher in our stack calls this a total viral myth.
Right.
They argue that intelligence relies on the entire genome from both parents.
And looking at the data impartially, both sides are kind of missing the bigger mechanism at play here. Genetics only account for about 40% of your intelligence.
Only 40.
Just 40. The remaining 60% isn't inherited at all. It's forged entirely by your environment, your education, stress levels, sleep.
So you just inherit a baseline.
Exactly, a neuroarchitecture. But the actual synaptic connections, those are built and maintained by how you interact with the world around you.
Which perfectly sums up the underlying theme of all this research, I think. Genes load the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger.
That's a great way to put it.
Your DNA is like a starting range, not a binding contract.
because the mechanism behind that is constant. Epigenetic tags aren't just assigned before birth, they shift throughout your entire life based on your habits.
Right.
In fact, multiple sources note that a father's lifestyle well before conception alters the epigenetic markers in his sperm, which sets the foundational health for the child.
Which leaves you with a pretty wild thought to mull over. Does that mean the ultra-processed dinner you ate, or the sleep you skipped, or the intense stress you felt yesterday is already altering the genetic library of a child you haven't even conceived yet?
It's crazy to think about.
It really seems like the books in that library are being edited long before they ever reach the shelves.
Before you leave, watch one more episode. The next conversation goes deeper into the truths, myths, and uncomfortable questions most people avoid.
Click the video on your screen and keep watching.